Welcome once again to another edition of the Pete O'Shea Show, right here for you on Inspiration AM 1110 WTIS. I am your brother Pete O'Shea. I got my brother Tom Connolly here on the board. Now, here's the big topic we're going to start with here in the first half of the show. There are big name artists out there like the Beach Boys and Willie Nelson who have canceled their concerts at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, because of their association with SeaWorld. Because it's SeaWorld, animal rights activists are pointing out that SeaWorld is making history for its record of exploiting animals. They've been criticized for how they obtain, maintain captive, and how they treat animals, specifically orca whales and dolphins. And I would tell you, I don't know enough about it yet, so that's why we've got Heather Murphy coming. We're going to be talking to in a little while. And there's a movie, a documentary called Blackfish that really goes into what's happening behind the scenes at SeaWorld. She's going to tell us all about that. She's going to shine a light on this for us. Heather, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you? I'm
doing excellent, thank you. Let's start from this. Give us a synopsis of what's going on at the various SeaWorlds, specifically what's being chronicled in the documentary Blackfish.
Well, Blackfish tells the story of Tilikum, the whale that killed Don Brancho in 2010. Don, unfortunately, was actually his third victim. So the movie chronicles his life prior to SeaWorld and then at SeaWorld also, and looks at the whole industry of orcas in display.
And so it's because, again, they're being criticized over the years for how they are obtaining and maintaining them captive and how they're treating these beautiful animals, right?
Right. 30, 40 years ago, when they started to have orcas in captivity, no one really knew anything about them. And in that past time, we've learned way more about them. We've learned how intelligent they are, and mainly we've learned that they just don't cope well with captivity.
Right. So again, what everyone is hoping for, if it's done right, is that the SeaWorld releases all of the captive orcas and dolphins back into ocean sanctuaries, right?
Yes, exactly. They have a huge opportunity right now to step forward and do the right thing and be an example for other parks by, releasing them into sea pens so that they can be in the open ocean and use echolocation again. And they could still open that up to the public and still make a business out of it, but it would be a much better situation for the whales themselves.
Talk to me about it again. They talked about acts of animal cruelty. Can you be more specific for me, Heather? What are we talking about here? That's something everybody needs to know.
Well, I think just with them being in captivity, they're in concrete pools and they're separated by metal gates. So often the whales, out of boredom or frustration or aggression, will jaw pop on the gate and it breaks their teeth. So then they have to have their teeth drilled without anesthesia. And that can, lead up to an infection. So it's just not a good situation for them at all.
If I have to go to the dentist and they don't knock me unconscious, it's not a good situation for me at all, Heather.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine what that's got to be like. And so the Change.org and this movie Blackfish and what you guys are doing, tell me a little bit about the board you're on and how together all these different groups are trying to work to shine a light on this, because I think most people don't know this is going on, Heather.
Change.org was the platform used for the petitions. I didn't write the particular ones for the different bands. Various fans of those bands wrote those. I have written a petition on Change.org, though, to stop the breeding program at SeaWorld. Because if this is going to phase out, it has to start with them not breeding the animals anymore.
So they have a captive orca breeding program that they do there at SeaWorld, and that is part of the problem then, right?
Right, yes.
So that
it's not successful.
It's not successful.
No, it's not a successful program. There's been several stillborns and miscarriages, and the mothers, I think 5 of the mothers have either died pregnant right after giving birth or a few days later. It's just not a good program.
Were you guys surprised, at least from where you're looking at it, and the people over at Change.org, were you surprised that people like the Beach Boys, Willie Nelson, Pat Benatar, that they listened and wound up canceling a show? They cost themselves money, and they're putting themselves in the spotlight of this controversy. Was this better than you'd hope? Surprising to you guys? Where did it all fill out for you?
Well, it was great in that several of those groups spoke out against what SeaWorld is doing, too, as the reason why they're not going to play. So I thought it was great to get their attention and to have a bigger platform through their voice as well. So it was, I don't know if I would say surprised, but I think, if the public is aware of what's going on, they'll understand why we're trying to stop this.
Why has it taken so long, Heather, for the public to be aware of this? This is the first I'm hearing of it. I consider myself to be a slightly informed individual, yet this is stuff that is all new to me and to most people listening. Right.
Well, SeaWorld has basically run the business, and they've been the only say in the industry for years. And, they've manipulated facts and misinformed the public to the degree where, everyone believed them and no one questioned it, myself included, for many years. Until I started doing my own research, I didn't realize that they were misinforming everybody and lying to everybody about it.
So, in this case, these artists are canceling their concerts at Busch Gardens. That's based on their association at SeaWorld or something that's happening at Busch Gardens? Let's clarify that, please.
Busch Gardens and SeaWorld are both owned by Blackstone Company, so it's the same company that owns both.
Okay.
Yes.
But specifically, you're talking about, and this petition was put together for the treatment of animals at SeaWorld.
Yes.
Okay. And so now, do you think that these are pretty big names? When you get somebody like the Beach Boys involved and a Pat Benatar or Willie Nelson who can activate, who can get people involved right away, this can become something big overnight when somebody like that lends their name to this. So can this be the disinfecting light that you guys are hoping for so that serious and real change can happen here, Heather?
I hope so, and I think it has potential to do that. It's definitely made a big dent in things already. So I really do think it has potential. It's just time for SeaWorld to come up with a new business plan and phase this out. They've started adding, well, it's been several years now, they've added roller coasters and rides. And I think the new generation likes the rides at the park, but I think the younger generation also realizes faster than my generation does that captivity is long.
Right. We've mentioned what it does to the orcas. Give me an idea of what it does to the dolphins.
I think it's similar. Dolphins are very smart, and I think it's similar. They, first of all, they have 20-something dolphins in SeaWorld of Orlando in a very small area, very shallow area. And dolphins in the wild can swim up to 20 and 40 miles a day. And then, the families are broken up. They have a dolphin show where they're still performing with the dolphins in the water, which they're not doing with the killer whales right now because of the lawsuit. And it's just inhumane. I can't imagine having to perform to get food. It's just not. I can't imagine that. Yeah,
that, like you said, that's. So what's next? How do we take this? How do you take this to the next step? Now that this has kind of been breaking big now, but the documentary, these big name artists jumping in to help, and like you said, not just canceling but speaking out. So what's the next step, Heather?
Well, I think basically if people stop going, just don't buy a ticket, don't go to SeaWorld, they're going to have to change. They're listening to us, but they're not hearing us. So I think actions speak louder than words. If people just don't go, the message will get there. Or if they do go, explain why you're not going and say it's because of the shows.
Right. So if people are listening now, and again, this may be the first time they're even hearing of any of this, how can they do what you did? Become informed, do their own research, find out more about where can they find more information, Heather?
The first thing they could do is read Death at SeaWorld by David Kirby. The book came out in 2012 before Blackfish did. That gives a lot of information in more depth than Blackfish does. And it also chronicles the career of Dr. Naomi Rose, who's with Animal Welfare Institute. She got her doctorate in studying male orcas in the wild. So it gives the comparison of what an orca in the wild would be like versus what an orca at SeaWorld is like.
Were you surprised that Blackfish was not nominated for an Oscar in the documentary category?
I was. But, at the same time, the reason why you hope for that nomination is for more people to see it.
Yeah.
And Blackfish has already gotten, millions of people views between all the different film festivals and theater screenings and on CNN. And I think it's going to be on CNN again in the future.
I hope so, too. All right, Heather Murphy, thank you so much for shining a light on this for us. We really, really appreciate your continued success. Keep fighting for those who are the innocent and voiceless. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Dr. Chris Hill with Original Health, Depression, ADHD, and so much more to talk about. Right, tomorrow, Bill Gaither is going to be on the show. Yes, and Dr. Tracy Lenhart will be here as well. I want you to stick around right now. The Herman Cain Show is next, followed by the Dave Ramsey Show, and then The Way. I'll be back tomorrow morning with AM Inspiration, and then again tomorrow at 11 with the Pete O'Shea Show. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.